Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show, where we're coming off another great weekend at the box office. It is indeed summer finally, and boy, this one has been such a wild ride, with June coming to a close in just 1 week after the latest Pixar sequel exploded at the box office. It's been a while since I've done a weekend recap, but because Toy Story 5 was such a huge hit, it's kicking off what should be a huge month at the box office. I'm recording this on Monday evening because I just wasn't confident about the accuracy of the Sunday morning estimates, especially with the Father's Day bump, which might not have been factored into the weekend. Not that it matters because Toy Story 5 really killed it with 160 million opening weekend in 4,425 theaters. That's more than the opening of Inside Out 2 2 years ago. That's the second biggest Pixar animation opening, just above Inside Out 2 in 2024, which opened 154 million. It's below Incredibles 2, which opened with 182.7 million in 2018, but it's also above Finding Dory. So this is like a high-end Pixar showing, $160 million over Father's Day weekend. It did great. The movie had great reviews with 93% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 95% popcorn meter. It had an A Cinema score, which is about the same as the last two installments. Only Toy Story 2 received a higher Cinema score than A plus back when that came out. I think it was 1998. But yeah, Toy Story 5 pretty much dominated the weekend. The next movie down after that was Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's new movie, with only 17.7 million, down 60%. Didn't get that big a bump from the Father's Day weekend, but has made 79 million so far, which is not great. The budget of it was 115 million dollars, but it has done it almost the same amount overseas. Because of that, it's actually almost profitable or very close to being profitable, and that's only after 2 weeks in theaters. So that's great. Universal has had better luck with Focus Features Obsession, which is doing huge business. This weekend it made 13.4 million, down just 30%. It's actually one of the biggest drops it's had since it opened 4 weeks ago, but still in 3,053 theaters. And this is crazy, but it's grossed 250 million just domestically, and it's made another 117.4 million overseas. It has grossed 332.5 million globally, based on a budget which is under $1 million. Obviously, they spent another 14, $15 million to buy it after Toronto last year. So that is insane. Curry Barker is, I mean, he's rich, first of all, but also I think he's going to be like in demand for at least like another 10, 12, 20 years, the way things are going. After that, it was Kane Parsons' Backrooms, which was also doing really well. It made 7.2 million this weekend, down 38%. It has grossed 175 million just domestically, and it has grossed another 102 million overseas. So that's just behind Obsession with 277.3 million globally so far. I mean, it remained number 4 for the weekend. It did not budge, 30% down. This was decent. Number 5 was Scary Movie. That had a bigger drop, 55%, with 6.4 million for the weekend. It has made 97.2 million so far. It is really close to $100 million. It will pass that amount. This is likely to be the third movie in the Scary Movie franchise to pass $100 million. The very first Scary Movie made 157 million domestic, and then the third movie made 110 million domestic. This is going to probably get close or pass Scary Movie 3. It probably won't get close to Scary Movie. It's kind of already starting to peter out a little bit. It's down to number 5 from last week. And then the movie that opened the same weekend, Masters of the Universe from Amazon MGM, that's much closer to Scary Movie in the third weekend together. It made 6.2 million this weekend, which is down 31%. It has grossed 57.5 million so far. So yeah, it's still behind Scary Movie by about 40 million, but they're so close, neck and neck right now for 5th place this weekend. So it is catching up. I mean, it was definitely helped by Father's Day weekend, obviously. And number 7, also helped by Father's Day, probably was Star Wars: The Mandalorian Grogu, with just under 4 million, down 18%. That's down to 2,000 theaters now after, I don't know, 5, 6 weeks. And it just goes to 171.8 million domestic and another 156.7 million overseas, about 329 million. Not great for a Star Wars movie. I mean, we've already talked about this already. I mean, it's one of the lesser Star Wars movies as far as the box office goes. It just did not catch on. And number 8, we have another new movie. That's The Death of Robin Hood from A24, starring Hugh Jackman, which bombed really badly. 2.9 million in 1,762 theaters, averaging 1,628. Not great. Reviews for The Death of Robin Hood were mixed at best, getting 69% from critics and also from 69% from audiences. But it also got a C plus cinema score, which is far more telling. That doesn't show audiences really enjoying the movie, even though critics seem to be mixed on it at best. This is probably going to be out of the top 10 soon, if not this week, next coming weekend. It's another A24 bomb. They had huge success at Backrooms, and they have a huge bomb at Death of Robin Hood. They're going back and forth. Number 9 was Neon's Leviticus, the horror movie from Australia. You might have seen my interviews. That made 2.6 million. in about 1,076 theaters. So that was in fewer theaters and made almost as much as Death of Robin Hood for ninth place. 10th place, Michael, still hanging on, 2.2 million, down 49%. It has made 367.9 million domestic, which is insane. It is one of the bigger movies of the year so far. It has made 571.1 million overseas. It's close to $1 billion. It's 939 million. That and the Super Mario Galaxy are the two biggest hits of the year so far. Toy Story 5 seems like it's going to be joining it soon. Number 11, Girls Like Girls, the Focus Features coming of age movie. It made 1.5 million in 504 theaters. Not bad. I mean, the per theater average is almost $3,000. That's always pretty good. Let's get into some limited releases. One of my favorite movies of the week was John Early's Maddie's Secret, released by Magnolia into one theater, which is the IFC Center in New York. That grossed $58,206 in just one theater over the week, and that's really good for a movie that's not from Wes Anderson or P.T. Anderson. John Early. I mean, we'll have to see how this expands. We'll have to see if Magnolia like makes it go wider or wide. I mean, it'll be in L.A. pretty soon, but it did really well in New York this past weekend. Another movie, Rose in Nevada, opened in 3 theaters, and it did not quite as good, 22,726 theaters. Sony Classics opened the Saudi Arabian crime drama Unidentified in 95 theaters, and that just tanked. It made $15,000, 158 per theater. I mean, they took a gamble. They decided to go into more theaters this first weekend rather than just do New York, LA, as they often do, and it didn't pay off. It's going to be out of theaters just as quickly as they went into theaters. And that's it for the box office. Just a recap. Just a quick recap. Number 1, Toy Story 5. Number 2, Disclosure Day. Number 3, Obsession. Number 4, Backrooms. Number 5, Scary Movie. Number 6, Masters of the Universe. Number 7, Star Wars The Mandalorian Grogu. Number 8, The Death of Robin Hood. Number 9, Leviticus. Number 10, Michael. According to my math, the top 10 grossed 222 million, which is pretty decent, although you have to consider that 160 million of that was from Toy Story 5. So 160 million out of 222 million, that doesn't leave a lot for everything else. So let's get to this week's new movies. This week sees the release of 2 major wide releases and another more moderate release, although I will have an interview with the director of the latter at the end of this week's shows. Probably the biggest new movie of the weekend is going to be Warner Brothers and DC Entertainment's latest offering, Supergirl, starring Millie Alcock from House of Dragons in the title role, and directed by Craig Gillespie. Here's a trailer, and we'll talk more about it afterwards.
Hey, I was just touching base to see when you think you might be coming back. You know, I'm just worried that you're not going to find your stride here if you keep going off-world all the time, Kara. I'm worried you're not going to find your people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Clark. I have no people. Home is wherever you are, buddy.
As I walk this land of road,
Crypto and I at least had each other.
I have visions of
Honestly, I thought we were lucky. But luck, almost by definition, runs out. What can I do?
The Brickens carry the antidote on that person.
There was a pretty massive sea change at DC Entertainment when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over as co-CEOs in late 2022, after Gunn went over to DC to direct The Suicide Squad, after being fired and then later reinstated by Marvel Studios as the man behind the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. The Suicide Squad itself wasn't a massive hit in 2021, opening with 26.2 million, but then just grossing 55 million domestic and double that overseas, with an asterisk that it played day and date on the new HBO Max streamer. That also led to 2 seasons of the Peacemaker series on HBO Max, starring John Cena. Presumably that did well enough for WB head David Zaslav to put Gunn and Safran in charge of all of DC. James Gunn's first major release as a new co-head of DC was last year's Superman, starring David Corenswet, which he both wrote and directed. That opened with 125 million domestic, which was more than Zack Snyder's Man of Steel in 2013, although we do have to consider 12 years of ticket inflation in that. It then went on to gross 354 million in North America and 264.5 million overseas. That makes 618.7 million globally, based on a production budget of 225 million. So it was indeed profitable for the new DC Entertainment. Gunn's Superman was also received well by critics, with 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 90% popcorn meter. Supergirl only made a brief cameo in Gunn's Superman, but she made quite an impression, especially when we learned that Crypto, it was her pet dog, with Crypto playing a major role in Supergirl as well. One would think that those who love Superman would be lining up for this new movie, but there's still a lot of sexism when it comes to comic book fandom. And that might affect whether guys of a certain age, either young or old, would be interested in a new solo Supergirl movie. In 1984, Sony released a Supergirl movie that bombed, but between 2015 and 2021, there was a very popular Supergirl TV series, which definitely could have helped with this new iteration. Also, a cool version of Supergirl appeared in the Flash movie a few years back as the Zack Snyder era was winding down. Gunn produced a spin-off movie, which is directed by Craig Gillespie, whose biggest box office hit was Disney's Cruella, starring Emma Stone in May 2021. Gillespie has a pretty decent track record, having directed I, Tonya, an early hit for Neon, which grossed $30 million domestic, got Margot Robbie her first Oscar nomination, with Allison Janney winning an Oscar for her supporting role. Gillespie also directed Lars the Real Girl almost 20 years ago, for which Ryan Gosling got his first Oscar nomination. So Gillespie is no slouch, having also directed a bunch of television, as well as 2023's Dumb Money, which bombed so badly, some might say it was dumb money to make the movie. Millie Alcock is an unknown quantity when it comes to box office because she hasn't made many movies. Fortunately, she has Jason Momoa backing up, playing the popular DC character Lobo for the first time in a live-action movie. Of course, Momoa previously played Aquaman in a hugely successful 2018 DC movie, which opened with $67.8 million domestic, but then grossed over $1 billion worldwide. 5 years later, that led to a far less successful sequel called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which opened with $27.7 million and ended up with $124.5 million domestic, which actually was a pretty nice holiday bump. They ended up grossing $440.1 million globally, which must have been a bit of a disappointment, especially for the movie's producer, which is Peter Safran, who is now in charge of DC. That was barely profitable based on its $200 million production budget, and in many ways, the James Wan directed sequel was probably seen as the last gap for the Zack Snyder era. So fewer people cared enough to go see it. Still, the idea of Momoa's Lobo is pretty exciting for fans of the comic book character, and that could help bring in some of the guys who might be a little dubious of a Supergirl movie. But also, Supergirl could maybe bring in some younger women that might not necessarily go see a comic book movie otherwise. And I'll also say Crypto is pretty cute. Women love dogs. I know. Combination of Supergirl and a dog seems like a winner to me. I'm recording this on Sunday, and I won't be seeing Supergirl until Monday morning, although the social media reactions are already out there, and they seem, I guess, mostly mixed. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'll have my own reaction on X after seeing it on Monday afternoon, and hope to have a video review of Supergirl later this week, probably on Wednesday at noon when the embargo breaks. I expect there to be a lot more reactions on the internet well before then, though. At one point, I thought Supergirl would be good for 70 million or more this weekend, just based on the success of Superman, but tracking hasn't been that great, and I've started to waver. Because of it, I think Supergirl will open under 60 million domestic, but I still think it will make over 50 million. So maybe 55 million, 56 million, somewhere in there. It should be able to win Friday with ease, especially considering the Thursday and Wednesday previews. But it'll probably end up falling behind Toy Story 5 in its second weekend by Sunday to end up in second place. Next up is Jackass Best and Last, which is meant to be the end of the stunt reality action franchise that's been playing in theaters for over 20 years. Let's check out the trailer for the final installment.
Reminder, the stunts in this movie were performed by professionals.
Hi, I'm Wee Man.
I'm Bam Margera.
I'm Preston Lacey. I'm Chris Pontius.
So for your safety and the protection of those around you,
I'm Dave England. I'm Danger Aaron. I'm Steve. I'm Ryan Dunn.
do not attempt any of the stunts you have just seen.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to the first day of our last film. What are you feeling? I'm sad. Does it make you sad, Chris?
No, I'm not in touch with my emotions.
I would like to introduce you to our new cast member, Larry!
Nice to meet you all. Big fans.
Oh my gosh, he got you!
Give me a bucket of water so I can throw it on Larry.
I will say for the record, in case it isn't that well known, but I've never seen a single Jackass movie, not even by accident. I was never a fan of the MTV show because I thought it was really stupid. And I say that as an avid and religious fan of Impractical Jokers, which is also stupid, but I find that funny. In this case, it just looked like a bunch of dumb jocks do stupid shit to make each other laugh. No interest whatsoever. Again, no Jackass movies for me. Never seen one, never reviewed one. That's not going to start now. I was already writing reviews and covering box office in 2002 when Jackass the movie came out, and I definitely underestimated how well it might do. In the past 24 years, Johnny Knoxville and his gang of miscreants have been continually returned to theaters with new installments, including Jackass 3D in 2010, which opened the biggest with $50 million domestic, compared to the next biggest opening, 2013's Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. We'll definitely want to go back to the first movie, which definitely was a surprise for me, since there were other MTV reality shows becoming movies around that time, and none of them did very well. Jackass would become a big money-making franchise for Paramount Pictures, which is why they've continually gone back to the well Jackass the movie opened with 22 million in 2002 and grossed 64.3 million in North America, but it didn't really make much overseas. It would take 4 years before the next movie, Jackass number 2, which cost 11 million, and that opened with 29 million and made 72.8 million domestically. Again, it didn't do that well overseas. It's almost as if countries outside America are smart enough not to be interested in the stupidity that is Jackass. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. It would be another 4 years before Jackass 3D, which would fully take advantage of take place in the wake of how well James Cameron's Avatar did in 3D. That could also help account for its $50 million opening, although its legs were negligible, ending up with 117 million in North America. On the other hand, this one did much better overseas with over 50 million just internationally. So the stupidity was clearly spreading. This was also the most expensive installment, costing 20 million, but also was the most profitable with 171 million globally. It would then take 3 years for Knoxville to return to Jackass with 2013's Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, which opened with 32 million and became the second Jackass movie to cross the 100 million mark domestically, although it made less than the 3D movie. It was then over 8 years before the next installment and the first one post-COVID with 2022's Jackass Forever, which took a pretty massive nosedive, opening with just 23 million and topping out at 57.7 million and barely making a mark overseas, although that also only cost 20 million, which is less than Jackass Part 2. This is the thing, though, that if 4 years ago the audience for Jackass was already starting to wane and Paramount MTV Films were deliberately cutting the budgets on these movies, then why should we think that Jackass Best and Last might do better than that movie 4 years later? I mean, the idea of this really being the last Jackass movie might definitely help the movie, besides also making me very happy. There's a chance that the sexist bros who won't go see a Supergirl movie this weekend might be Jackass fans already. One thinks that the idea of ending this stunt franchise on a high note, and I use that term loosely, might make this a viable option even for those who skipped Jackass Forever 4 years ago. There won't be any reviews for the movie until Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon because Paramount are deliberately hiding it. The screening for critics on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock in New York at least. They know that the movie is review-proof. Fans of Jackass will go see it anyway. Reviews won't really matter. I'm not even going to look at the reviews for the past movies because I just don't care. As far as I'm concerned, these movies don't exist. Maybe because I'm not a fan, I've remained rather dubious of this new movie, but early tracking for the movie made it sound like this could only open in the teens, which would have been the lowest opening for a Jackass movie ever. I have a little more confidence for it. I actually think it can get some walk-up business because Jackass is a pretty common name. You see it on a marquee. Okay, if you're a fan, you'll go see it. I don't think it needs a lot of promotion or a lot of positive reviews for people to go see it. I mean, Paramount has done a lot of events around the world for the movie, so people know it exists. They know it's coming out. So, yeah, I'll say that it'll make about 20 million or more this weekend, maybe 40, 45 million total. I don't think it's going to have very long legs. It doesn't have any direct competition for Jackass fans, I don't think. But who knows? Maybe it'll do better. Maybe it'll end up with like 50 million total. But I don't think it's going to get more than that. And now for something very different from Jackass and something much smarter than that, which isn't saying much. But it's a World War II survival movie that I quite enjoyed. I'm pretty sure it's not getting as wide a release as the other two movies this weekend. But it's a new movie from Rod Davis-Lurie of The Contender fame, which is Lucky Strike, starring Scott Eastwood. Let's look at the trailer.
German counteroffensive has been going on for 3 days. We need you to block that road this morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Come on, come on.
Sorry, sir. You do realize we have 400 pounds of explosives back there, right, Murph?
It's the 1st SS Panzer Division coming down that road. You boys have never fought anything like them.
Reminiscing about the beaches of Puerto Rico, Ram?
From the Upper West Side, Miller. I take a New York winter over.
This is Rod Davis-Lurie's second movie over the past year, with Angel Studios having released the inspirational sports movie The Senior, starring Michael Chiklis, back in September. That opened with 2.6 million in 2,405 theaters and made 5.4 million domestically, but didn't really have the full marketing support of Angel as some of their other movies. Lucky Strike stars Scott Eastwood as Captain John Castle, an officer leading an engineering division in the latter days of World War II, setting up explosives in the Ardennes forest of Belgium, when his small group of soldiers is attacked by a ruthless band of SS agents who wipes out Castle's whole team. Castle then has to travel dozens of kilometers on his own, get to his closest group of allies while avoiding those SS agents. Lurie last made a war movie called The Outpost, which also co-starred Eastwood. That was released in 2020 and it got waylaid by the COVID outbreak. Unlike Rick Rubin and Wallace Greenland, which went straight to streaming, The Outpost did get some sort of summer release over 4th of July weekend that year and reported some box office. Maybe it played in drive-ins? I don't know. I really have no idea since it was handled by Screen Media Films and I think Gravitas Ventures, who releases a lot of VOD stuff. Lucky Strike is a war movie with a lower budget than the likes of David Ayer's Fury starring Brad Pitt or something like Peter Berg's Lone Survivor starring Mark Wahlberg. This one is being released by Roadside Attractions and Saban Films, the latter who has become better known for their VOD fare. In many ways, Lucky Strike is going to be more of a test for Scott Eastwood as leading man, although he just appeared in last year's Colleen Hoover movie, Regretting You. He also became part of the Fast and Furious franchise with 2017's The Fate of the Furious. Even so, Eastwood's biggest movie to date is David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and he's appeared in other big studio movies like the Pacific Rim sequel, but always as an ensemble cast. His last name also sounds very familiar, so it might be the son of someone also named Eastwood. I'm not sure. I think so. Roadside Saban's last theatrical release was David Mackenzie's Fuse in late April, and that only opened with $1 million in 1,164 theaters. Like Lucky Strike, that also had Monday Mystery Movie previews, although it didn't really stay in wide release for very long. I don't know how many theaters Lucky Strike is getting this weekend, but I hope it'll at least be 809 theaters. And maybe we'll stick around a little bit, at least through the 4th of July weekend, and we can bring in some additional business. Although Angel Studios' new movie, Young Washington, is more on point with the country's 250th birthday celebration. Hopefully, Lucky Strike can be true to his title and at least get into the top 10 this weekend. That's it for this week, but stay tuned to watch my interview with Lucky Strike director Rod Davis Lurie right after this. Rod, it's great seeing you again. Welcome to the Weekend Warrior Show.
This one's actually fun. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't actually interviewed you, and I don't know, it's probably since Straw Dogs, like on set, like, God, I don't know, 15 years ago? Is that possible? I don't know.
That was 2009. Yeah. So, dude, 17 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we talk all the time anyway, but still, but official interview. Right. And I'm really excited about Lucky Strike. It's like, it's like your second full-on war movie. It's like your third kind of in the military.
Right. That's true. That's true because of The Last Castle,
which was the first movie I ever reviewed, oddly.
Really? Period?
Oh, yeah. That was it. That was the first movie I reviewed ever. Yeah, for sure.
Did I get a good review from you on that one?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, yeah. You've been collaborating with Mark Friedman since The Contender. You've been working with him forever.
No, since well before then, because he produced my first short film that got my whole career going, and then Deterrence, and then The Contender. We've done a lot of stuff together, but this is by far the most collaborative because he wrote the script. I mean, he wrote the first script of this. He was 16 years old, and he interviews a Battle of the Bulge survivor for his high school. And this guy tells him his story, and Mark says, "Okay, well, that's a movie," And it took him decades, and he gives me his screenplay. The screenplay is too short, and so I get in there and I add some stuff, and stuff that I added, the guy didn't say to him, but that's how this came together. So it's by far the most personal thing that he's got going.
But you've known about the screenplay a long time? Have you known about this?
Yeah. I mean, I first read, I was looking at my journal the other day. He gave it to me in 2017, so he gave it to me 9 years ago to first read. And, we were trying to put it together for a long time. And it's very difficult to make any movie, period. And, but, we were aided by The Outpost being successful, certainly being critically successful, and made a lot of money for everyone involved. And so we went back to Millennium, the company that made The Outpost, and Jonathan Younger, who was running the company then, gave it the thumbs up, and he greenlit it. And he's in the movie, actually, that guy.
Now, I know you know a lot about history. You're very, up on history and in the military, obviously, from your background.
Right.
Do you know a lot about the Battle of the Bulge beforehand? And I mean, did you know about this, or was it kind of like just something you kind of read up on after?
No. I mean, I went to West Point, and the Battle of the Bulge is the coldest and deadliest battle that America fought in World War II. And so, I was very well studied on it, though not as studied as my partner, I must say. And it's an absolutely fascinating battle, Ed, because the war was essentially won at that point. The Russians had completely destroyed Germany. This was a gambit by Hitler that was complete on desperation. He knew that he could maybe have an upper hand for a couple of days, but then knew he was fucked. And that's exactly what happened. So it's really fascinating, and there are many facets to this battle that are not famous, and we you see a couple of them in the film. I don't want to spoil them because they make up a good twist at the end of the movie. But but I know Battle of the Bulge pretty well. Most of the battles of World War II pretty well.
And Castle was a real soldier who Mark had met or read
So,
about, or
his name is not John Castle.
Mhm.
That's a name that we came up with. This was a guy that Mark interviewed when, like I said, when he was 16 years old, and he told him a story. He told him a story of his experiences in the Battle of the Bulge, and so that story is reflected here with some additional stuff that I wrote. So I think that when we say that the film is inspired by true events, that's pretty precise. It's not a true story. It's not even based on a true story because it's something that not really verified, but sounded very credible. And so I think to say it's inspired by true events is pretty precisely the way that it should be described.
and you worked with Scott before on The Outpost. Was it kind of really obvious? This is the guy he has to play it. Was it really obvious from the get go that
Yeah, but he didn't want to do it at first because he was done with war films. He didn't even read the screenplay until, I went to a couple of other guys half-heartedly, and I worked so well with Scott. We did such a great job together. We really like each other so much. And eventually he came to his senses and said that he would play the role. Although now I really think he's never going to do another war film because those things they are not easy to make.
yeah?
They are not easy to make at all. And it wasn't easy for him. I mean, it was brutally cold when we shot this. I mean, it was you're going to get really sick, sort of cold. But he never left the set, He just stayed on set through all that misery. He hung in there with the crew and the other actors. He was a real man about it. It was really something to behold. And he made us able to shoot the film faster because he never had to go to his trailer and we never had to wait on him. We could just start shooting immediately when we were ready.
I think it's the best role he's gotten, and also his best performance, which is amazing because you come off right off the senior where you kind of did the same for Michael Chiklis. So you're giving these actors these amazing roles to play with.
Well, Chiklis was fantastic in the senior, and he and I had a great time making it together, and we've become extremely close friends. And it's the same. You're right. It's the same with Scott. But there have been really. I've been blessed with actors who have really given me fantastic performances. Jeff Bridges was great in The Contender, and I think Kate Beckinsale gave the performance of her life in a movie I made called Nothing But the Truth. Same with Vera Farmiga. Tim Matheson was so good as Ronald Reagan in Killing Reagan. But, actors, you put an actor in the right role and you show them enough confidence and trust them, they will tend to give you some really great, great work. Scott he had so many ideas on this movie, so many things that he wanted to do, so many ideas that he brought, more than I experienced. He did that on the Outpost too, but not as much as with this one. So, and he wanted to shoot more scenes. He came up with ideas for more scenes. I mean, he was really invested in this movie, and which is really, really, really nice to see.
The war movies can be hugely expensive. I mean, this is not the biggest war movie. It's not like thousands of soldiers, blah blah. But I mean, you still have the tanks and the jeeps, and you have to be,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a survival movie more than a war film even, right? There was hand-to-hand combat in the Battle of the Bulge, of course, but it was mostly tank battles and artillery battles. And so by definition, we're not going to see him with too many people. And like I said, he's a guy who's separated from his unit, has to get back to his unit, has to travel back to his unit. And so it's more a survival movie than a war film in my mind. That's definitely the way that Scott and I approached it. Although we do kill a lot of Nazis, I gotta say, Ed. I
yeah.
mean, we take these fuckers out, constantly. We knife them, we shoot them, we burn them. We beat them, to death with our hands, with rifle. I mean, we take them out in every which way. And what's interesting is that this war was so unambiguous, right? Those are the bad guys, period.
Right.
Those are the bad guys, and they deserve to die. And you don't get, and as an audience member, you got no problem with it whatsoever. And so we have a situation with, unlike most war films, you can make an entertaining World War II film because the delineation between good and evil is so abundantly clear and without, like I said, without any ambiguity whatsoever. It's the greatest generation fighting the worst humans that ever lived.
Yeah, God, we know each other for 20 years.
Right.
And when we got to the end credits and I saw your name as a co-composer, and I was like, wait, I never had any idea that Rod had any musical aspirations, skills. And then went back and I saw that you've actually written songs for movies.
Yeah, including this one. Yeah. I don't want to take too much credit away from Larry Groupé, who is definitely did the most of the work. I came up with a melody, and originally the melody was going to be this, this sort of quickish tune, and then and just a little piano piece that would exist 4 or 5 times in the film. And I asked Larry just to translate my humming into music, and he did that. And that indeed is composing. Composing is a writing credit, as opposed to a music by credit. And then Larry said, "Well, what if we do some more stuff?" And I said, "Okay." And so the melody is mine, and almost all the tonal stuff is his. And all the musical work is his, obviously playing the music, the instrumentalizing, and so on. But I have written songs for almost all my films now, or the past since Resurrecting the Champ, in past 20 years. I've done music for everything. I have songs for everything, including this one, and I'm proud of this one. It's called "Have Mercy on the Hero" is the name of the song.
The
And
song,
it's
the song at the end, right?
song at the end of this movie. And it's
Yeah.
it's about, there's a line that Castle has, the character Castle has, because survival isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And that's really what that song is about.
Well, next time I see you in person, when you come to New York, I gotta talk more music with you because that's my background as well, this music stuff. So,
Yeah, what do you play? What do you play? What instruments do you play?
I'm an engineer producer. I'm more of a technical guy. I used to
Okay,
making records.
excellent. We can definitely talk. We definitely can talk music for sure. Absolutely, you got it.
Before I let you go, I know you're in Portugal now. You're going to start up a
Yeah.
production company there. There's going to
Yep.
Can you talk about that? Like, what's the plan there with as far? Are you going to like really create a whole ecosystem and
I would like to. I would like to bring American films. I'd like to maybe produce some Portuguese films. My wife and I, we have moved to Lisbon. We have left Los Angeles. Still got to sell our house, but we have left Los Angeles. And we're and we really want to put a big footprint in Portugal. And Lisbon is just heaven. It's just an unbelievable place to live. The best decision I ever made in my life after marrying my wife was moving to Portugal. And my dog is so happy. It's just crazy. My dog, who's terrified of water, is now jumping into pools in Portugal. So I know
Wow,
we made the right decision.
That's great. Well, listen, Rod, I can't wait to see what you have next, what you're doing next. I mean, it's great. You have 2 movies in 1 year, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I'm making one in Calgary right now as we speak. A Western.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't give you any details yet because they have yet to announce it, but I can't wait.
Yeah, but I remember you directed a couple episodes of that Western show. So
Hell on
I'm
Wheels,
excited-
yeah.
yeah. So I'm excited to see what you do there in that space. Rod, so good to see you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Have fun in DC. You're lucky Trump's coming to New York, so you won't have to run into him.
All right, excellent.
Dauntless, this is Derek 06. Vehicle's broke. All my men are dead.
Roger, Derek. We cannot get to you. We need to get to
That's too big of a hike. Got the SS crawling all over me.
Godspeed to you, Captain.
When it comes to the SS, there are no rules. They're not soldiers. They're murderers.
Who are you? American.
They warned us about turncoats and spies.
Keep your radio battery alive. It's your lifeline now.
That was the sturdiest radio in the war.
80 years from now, everyone will know what happened in that battle. But will they understand it?
I hope they do.